The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with activity. Representatives from 17 advanced civilizations filled the circular chamber. Massive holographic displays showed a small blue planet, third from its yellow star. The planet was called Earth by its inhabitants, but the Council simply referred to it as Sol 3. High Arbiter Zix Vorn stood at the central podium. His 7-foot frame was covered in shimmering scales that caught the light. 4 eyes blinked independently as he surveyed the gathered delegates. The Council will now discuss the Sol 3 proposal, Zix Vorn announced. His voice translator made the words echo throughout the chamber. The Resource Acquisition Committee has submitted their report for review. In a monitoring room far away on Earth, Alan Wright sat up straight in his chair. The retired military strategist had been watching the stars through his telescope when he noticed unusual light patterns. Now, in the small Montana observatory he had built after retirement, advanced instruments picked up fragments of alien transmissions. He was one of the few humans who knew that Earth was being watched. Alan reached for his secure phone. "Susan, you need to see this." Back in the council chamber, a small blue alien floated to the center of the room. "Esteemed delegates, our scouts, report that Sol 3 contains abundant resources. The natives are divided into competing factions with primitive technology. They have basic spaceflight but have not yet established colonies beyond their moon." Susan Miller, director of NASA's newly formed Extraterrestrial Defense Initiative, rushed into her office. Alan's message had been urgent. They had worked together for years, ever since unusual signals were first detected by deep space monitoring stations. The government had kept everything secret to prevent panic, but a small team had been preparing for first contact. "Show me what you found," she said, over the secure video link. In the council chamber, debate continued. The representative from Proxima, a tall, thin being with transparent skin showing glowing organs beneath, raised a concern. "Our psychological assessment of the humans shows unusual patterns. They are remarkably adaptable and show surprising resilience. We should conduct more studies before deciding their fate." The representative from Tau Ceti nodded in agreement. Their historical records show they often unite when faced with external threats. Their technological progress has been exponential rather than linear. Council leader Kurthax, a massive creature resembling an Earth octopus but with 12 tentacles, and skin that changed color with his emotions, turned deep red with dismissal. "They are primitive and fractured," he declared. "Their global military forces will surrender within one planetary rotation once they witness our technological superiority. They still fight among themselves over resources that the galaxy has in abundance." At the White House, President William Carter was briefed on the situation. The room was tense as Susan Miller presented the intercepted transmissions. "Mr. President, we believe an alien coalition is discussing Earth right now. Based on what we can translate, they're planning something that could be hostile." President Carter rubbed his temples. "Options?" "Limited, sir," Susan replied. "We've been developing some defensive technologies based on Dr. Dawson's theories, but nothing that could repel an advanced civilization." In her laboratory at MIT, Lisa Dawson worked frantically. Her theories about quantum entanglement had been dismissed by mainstream science for years, but the government had secretly funded her research after detecting the alien signals. Now, her unorthodox ideas might be Earth's only hope. "The standard model won't work against their technology," she muttered to her assistant. "We need to think differently." In the council chamber, Zix Vorn called for a vote. "The question before the council is simple. Do we proceed with the acquisition of Sol 3? One by one, the representatives cast their votes. The holographic display showed the results in real time. 15 green lights for invasion. Only 2 red. Lights against Proxima and Tau Ceti. "The council has decided," announced Zix Vorn. "Preparations will begin immediately. The invasion fleet will depart within 10 rotations." Kurthax's skin rippled with pleasure. "Schedule the Victory Day celebration for our next session. This will be a simple operation." The Proxima representative's skin clouded with concern. "You underestimate these humans. Our preliminary data on their psychology indicates unpredictable response patterns." "Your concerns are noted and dismissed," replied Kurthax. Their most advanced weapons are primitive nuclear devices and chemical propellants. Our shields can withstand far more. On Earth, the detection systems Alan had helped design picked up increased activity. Susan Miller rushed into an emergency meeting with global defense leaders. "We have confirmation. They're coming," she announced, to the room. "Based on their communications, we have less than 2 weeks." President Carter addressed the United Nations the next day. Without revealing the source of the information, he warned of an imminent global threat that would require unprecedented cooperation. "The time has come for humanity to stand together," he said to a confused assembly. Only a few world leaders had been briefed on the real situation. Lisa Dawson worked without sleep. Her lab had become the center of a desperate scientific effort. "Their technology follows a different path than ours," she explained to visiting military officials. "They developed along a line that prioritized energy manipulation, while we focused more on matter and its properties. This difference might save us." In the Council fleet, final preparations were underway. Commander Velnir, appointed to lead the invasion, reviewed the battle plans. "We will position 3 main vessels over their major population centers," he instructed his officers. "Smaller craft will neutralize their military installations. Once they witness our power, they will surrender." His second-in-command, Kreldax, nodded in agreement. "The natives will be relocated to the designated habitation zones. Resource extraction can begin immediately after." Neither of them noticed the small Proxima science officer who listened quietly. Later, she sent an encrypted message to her homeworld. "The attack proceeds as planned. The humans are unaware and unprepared." But she was wrong. In Montana, Alan right-tracked the approaching fleet. In Washington, Susan Miller coordinated a global response plan. At MIT, Lisa Dawson made a breakthrough that defied conventional physics. And in a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, President Carter addressed the leaders of Earth's nations via secure video. "They think we're primitive and divided," he said. "That will be their first mistake." The invasion fleet entered the Sol system, their massive ships moving with perfect precision. In 10 days, they would reach Earth. The Council's confidence was absolute. Victory was assured. They had no idea what was waiting for them. 3 massive alien vessels appeared in Earth's sky without warning. One positioned itself above New York, another over Beijing, and the third hovered over Moscow. Each ship was shaped like a flattened disk with glowing rings that pulsed with strange energy. They were over 2 miles wide and cast enormous shadows on the cities below. At the same time, dozens of smaller craft spread across the globe, taking positions above military bases, naval fleets, and missile silos. The world watched in stunned silence as news feeds showed the impossible sight of alien spacecraft filling the skies. Colonel Jack Morrison stood on the roof of the Pentagon, staring up at the alien ship that loomed over Washington, D.C. As a Marine, corps officer with 20 years of experience, he had seen many things, but nothing like this. "Sir, something's odd about their deployment," he said to his commanding officer. "They're positioning themselves over obvious targets, but leaving key military and communication nodes untouched." In New York, the United Nations building was hastily converted into humanity's first contact center. Kate Russell, a diplomat with experience in the world's most difficult negotiations, had been chosen to attempt communication with the aliens. She had less than an hour to prepare. "We know almost nothing about their language, culture, or intentions," she told her hastily assembled team. "But we must try to establish dialogue." In rural Iowa, Sheriff George Bennett watched the distant lights of an alien craft hovering over what appeared to be empty farmland. The small town of Millfield seemed like the last place aliens would be interested in. "Why here?" he wondered aloud, studying the ship through binoculars. "There's nothing. Strategic for 50 miles. What George didn't know was that beneath those farms lay an old missile silo, converted years ago into a research facility where Dr. Lisa Dawson's theories were being tested. At the Pentagon, intelligence analyst Olivia Patterson noticed a pattern in the aliens' communications. She had been monitoring their transmissions since they entered Earth's atmosphere. There's a pulse pattern that repeats every 12 seconds, she told Colonel Morrison. It's consistent across all their ships, like a synchronization signal. In orbit, Sub-Commander Velnir prepared to deliver the Council's terms. His ship transmitted a signal that hijacked all of Earth's broadcast systems simultaneously. Screens around the world displayed his image, a tall, reptilian being with 4 arms and metallic armor. People of Earth, the translation began. I speak on behalf of the Galactic Council, the governing body of civilized space. Your planet has been designated for resource acquisition. You will surrender all governmental authority to Council representatives. Your population will be relocated to designated habitation zones where your basic needs will be met. Resistance is futile and will result in disciplinary action. The message played on repeat for 30 minutes, causing panic in cities worldwide. Emergency services were overwhelmed, stock markets crashed, religious leaders called for prayer. Military forces around the world went to their highest alert status but held fire as ordered. In the White House Situation Room, President Carter watched the message with his advisors. Susan Miller stood by his side. Mr. President, we need time, Susan whispered. Dr. Dawson needs at least 72 hours to finish her prototype. The president nodded and stepped before the camera that would transmit his response to the alien vessels. We receive your message, he said simply. The nations of Earth request a 72-hour period to deliberate on your terms and prepare an orderly transition. We ask for a meeting between our representatives to discuss the details. In his command ship, Velnir was surprised by the calm, measured response. The Council's invasion handbook indicated that primitive species typically responded with either immediate surrender or futile military action. Grant them their time, he told his officers. It will allow us to complete our tactical positioning. The humans show unexpected restraint. Perhaps they are more rational than our report suggested. What Velnir didn't know was that beneath the calm surface, humanity was preparing. In underground facilities around the world, scientists worked frantically to understand the alien technology from long-range scans. At MIT, Lisa Dawson made a breakthrough. She stared at her computer screen in disbelief. Their shield technology, she mumbled. It's based on a completely different principle than we expected. They're using what looks like gravitational manipulation, but with a quantum twist. She grabbed her phone and called Susan Miller directly. I know how their shields work, and I think I know how to disrupt them, but I need access to the CERN facilities immediately. In the small town of Millfield, Sheriff Bennett was ordered by men in black suits to evacuate everyone within 5 miles of the old missile silo. He didn't ask questions. Folks, I need everyone to grab essential items only and head south to the county shelter, he announced on the emergency broadcast system. This is not a drill. At the United Nations, Kate Russell prepared for humanity's first official meeting with alien representatives. She studied everything available about the aliens' language and behavior patterns. They seem to value hierarchy and direct communication, she told her team. We'll show respect but not submission. In a secured NSA facility, former hacker Ryan Harrison was recruited to analyze the alien code intercepted from their communications. Their encryption is advanced, but it follows patterns I recognize, he told his handlers. Give me a few more hours. Halfway around the world, biochemist. Nicole Barnes made a discovery about the aliens' environmental suits. They're filtering our atmosphere heavily, she reported. Something about Earth's air composition might be toxic to them. Military engineer Frank Martinez led a team converting Dr. Dawson's theories into practical weapons. If she's right about their shield frequency, we might have a chance, he told his exhausted team. Keep working. As the 72-hour window reached its halfway point, the Council grew impatient. Sub-Commander Velnir received new orders from the Council. A demonstration is required, the message stated. Show them our power. Without warning, one of the smaller alien ships positioned itself over an uninhabited island in the Pacific. A beam of intense light shot downward. When it stopped 10 seconds later, the island was gone, leaving only a steaming crater where land had been. All global communications carried the same message. This is but a fraction of our capability. You have 36 hours remaining to accept our terms. The aliens expected panic and immediate surrender. Instead, President Carter addressed the world with unexpected calm. "We have seen their power," he said, "and we acknowledge it. Our deliberations continue." In her lab, Lisa Dawson smiled as she watched the recording of the island's destruction. "Now we have everything we need," she said to Susan Miller over the secure line. "Their weapons emit a specific energy signature that confirms my theory." Susan looked confused. "You're happy they just vaporized an island?" "No," Lisa replied. "I'm happy they just showed us exactly how to beat them." As night fell over a worried world, humanity's hidden preparations continued. The aliens watched from above, confident in their overwhelming superiority, unaware that their demonstration had provided the final piece of information Earth needed. The Council's invasion plan was proceeding perfectly, or so they thought. The final hours of the Council's ultimatum ticked away. In the command ship hovering over New York, Sub-Commander Velnir prepared for the human surrender. His officers had already drafted plans for the first resource extraction sites and population relocation centers. "The humans have 6 hours remaining," Velnir announced to his crew. "Prepare the landing crafts. The first wave will secure their governmental centers." What the aliens didn't know was that beneath the apparent calm, Earth was finalizing a coordinated response. In underground facilities around the world, scientists and military personnel worked without rest. The demonstration of alien power had not broken human resolve. It had strengthened it. In her lab at CERN, Lisa Dawson put the finishing touches on her quantum disruptor. The device looked simple, just a small metal box with an antenna, but its internal workings operated on principles that most Earth scientists had considered theoretical until now. The aliens developed along a technological path that prioritized energy manipulation, she explained to the gathered officials. But their approach has a fundamental weakness. They assume all advanced civilizations would discover and use the same principles. In a secure facility beneath the Pentagon, Ryan Harrison had made his own breakthrough. The former hacker had been analyzing the alien transmissions non-stop for 3 days. Their systems use a base 16 encryption that's incredibly advanced, he told Colonel Morrison. But they're vulnerable to specific frequency patterns that they consider useless noise. We can use that to disrupt their communications. At NASA headquarters, communications specialist Diane Foster had discovered something unexpected. Using modified radio telescopes, she had detected transmissions from beyond Earth's orbit that didn't match the invasion fleet's communication patterns. "Someone else is out there," she reported to Susan Miller, "and they're trying to contact us." As the deadline approached, President Carter addressed the world one final time before the expected confrontation. "For decades, humanity has looked to the stars and wondered if we were alone," he said, his face solemn but determined. "Today we know the answer. We also know that not all who travel the stars come in peace. But humanity has survived countless challenges throughout our history. We have endured ice ages, plagues, world wars, and our own destructive tendencies. We will endure this as well." What he didn't say, what only a select few knew, was that humanity had been preparing for this possibility for years. Since the first unusual signals were detected decades ago, secret programs had been developing technologies based on scientific principles different from those taught in public institutions. In orbit, Velnir received the humans' official response to the Council's ultimatum. He expected surrender. Instead, the message was brief. "We decline your terms and offer our own. Leave Earth space immediately or face the consequences." Velnir's scales darkened with anger. "They dare to threaten us. Begin the primary attack sequence. Target their military installations first." The alien fleet moved into attack formation. Weapon systems powered up, creating a spectacle of light visible even in daylight. The Council forces expected a brief, one-sided battle that would end with human surrender. What happened instead shocked the invasion force. As the first alien weapons fired, a network of previously hidden ground installations activated around the globe. The devices Lisa Dawson had designed emitted invisible fields that distorted the aliens' energy weapons. Beams that should have destroyed military bases instead dissipated harmlessly. "Impossible!" Velnir shouted as the reports came in. "Their technology is primitive. They cannot have shields capable of stopping our weapons." More surprises followed. Human communication systems should have been easy to jam. But Ryan Harrison's team had implemented his defensive algorithms. Earth forces maintained perfect coordination, while the alien fleet's communications became increasingly chaotic. From military bases around the world, aircraft took off. Not the jets the aliens had expected, but strange new craft that moved, with incredible speed and agility. These were the products of the Skunkworks project led by Frank Martinez, using principles reverse-engineered from earlier alien observations. In a secure command center, Susan Miller watched the tactical display. With tense hope, "It's working," she whispered as the first alien fighter was disabled by a human craft. "They never expected us to have this level of technology." The Council invasion force had made a fatal error. They assumed technological advancement followed a linear, universal path. Earth had developed along a completely different technological tree, making their defenses incompatible with Council weapons in unexpected ways. Colonel Morrison directed the counterattack from the Pentagon. "Focus on their communication nodes," he ordered. "Use the quantum disruptors on their main vessels." In space, the aliens struggled to adapt. Their tactics were based on thousands of successful conquests against species that used similar technology to their own. Nothing in their invasion handbook covered this situation. "The Council must be informed," Velnir ordered. "Send a priority message. The humans have unexpected defenses. Request reinforcements." But their long-range communications were already compromised. Diane Foster had made contact with the source of the mysterious transmissions, representatives from Proxima and Tau, Ceti who opposed the invasion. These Council dissidents had provided critical information about the fleet's communication protocols. "They rely on quantum entanglement for instantaneous communication," explained the Proximan representative through the secure channel, "but their system has a fatal flaw we can exploit." In the small town of Millfield, the seemingly empty farmland revealed its secret. The ground split open, and a massive dish antenna rose from the hidden facility. This was one of dozens of similar installations around the world, all activating simultaneously. The coordinated pulse they emitted was targeted precisely at the frequency Lisa Dawson had calculated. When it reached the alien vessels, their shields flickered and failed. Their weapon systems went offline. Internal systems malfunctioned. In his command ship, Velnir watched in horror as his mighty fleet became vulnerable. "This cannot be happening," he said, his voice barely audible. "They are primitive." The Council assured us they were primitive. The human counterattack was swift and precise. The experimental aircraft, piloted by the best from each nation's air force, engaged the now vulnerable alien fighters. Ground-based weapons targeted the larger ships with perfect coordination. 3 primary alien warships were disabled within the first hour of battle. 7 smaller vessels were forced to land. The rest retreated to higher orbit beyond the range of Earth's defenses. In the White House Situation Room, President Carter received the reports with measured relief. "This is just the beginning," he cautioned his celebrating staff. "They will return with more forces once the Council learns what happened." Susan Miller nodded in agreement. "But now we have time and we have some of their technology to study." In her lab, Lisa Dawson was already analyzing data from the battle. "Their fundamental understanding of physics is different from ours," she told her team. "Not better or worse, just different. That's why our defenses worked. They never anticipated an approach like ours." At the United Nations, Kate Russell prepared to meet with captured alien officers. The tables had turned dramatically. Now Earth would be offering terms. As night fell across a changed world, humanity had won its first victory against the Galactic Council. News of the failed invasion would soon reach Council space, causing shockwaves through their civilization. Their fatal confidence had met an unexpected challenge, and on a small blue planet that they had dismissed as primitive, humans began to prepare for what would come next. News of the failed invasion spread quickly through Council space. The defeat was unprecedented. In the 10,000 years of the Galactic Council's existence, no primitive world had ever successfully resisted. The shock waves reached the Grandi assembly hall within days of the battle. High Arbiter Zixvorn called an emergency session. Representatives from all 17 civilizations gathered, their usual calm replaced by nervous chatter. Council leader Korthax's skin had turned a deep blue, the color of extreme distress. "How is this possible?" Korthax demanded when silence finally fell. Sub-Commander Velnir's last report indicated complete failure. 3 primary warships disabled by primitive weapons, 7 vessels forced to surrender, the rest retreating. "This cannot stand." The Proxima representative stepped forward, inner organs glowing brightly through transparent skin. "We warned this might happen. Our preliminary assessment of human psychology indicated unpredictable response patterns. On Earth, celebrations were tempered by caution. Military forces remained on high alert. Scientists studied the captured alien technology. World leaders met continuously to plan Earth's next steps. Captain Sam Taylor received a hero's welcome when he landed at Andrews Air Force Base. His experimental aircraft had scored the first confirmed victory against an alien fighter. The sleek black plane used principles that combined traditional aerodynamics with gravitational manipulation, technology that had been developed in secret for decades. "I just did what I was trained to do," he told reporters at a carefully managed press conference. "The real heroes are the scientists who built these planes." In the White House, presidential science advisor Laura Wilson coordinated global research efforts. Teams from every major nation shared findings without the usual concerns about national security. The alien threat had united humanity in unprecedented ways. "The quantum disruptors are being refined based on battlefield data," she reported to President Carter. "We believe we can extend their range to reach high orbit." Intelligence officer Daniel Jackson had been assigned to work with the captured aliens. His background in linguistics and psychology made him ideal for establishing communication. "They're in shock," he told his superiors. "Their entire worldview was based on technological superiority. They can't understand how we defeated them." The most cooperative prisoner was a junior science officer from the Proxima species. She revealed that not all council members had supported the invasion. "Our civilization and the Tau Ceti have long argued for peaceful contact," she explained, through the translation device. "We were outvoted. This information led to a breakthrough. Using communication frequencies provided by the Proximan officer, Earth established direct contact with the dissident council members. Patricia Clark, an experienced ambassador with a background in conflict resolution, was chosen to lead these delicate negotiations. "We need allies within their political structure," she argued. "This isn't just about defeating an invasion. It's about establishing our place in galactic society." The council chamber had descended into chaos. Ancient rivalries resurfaced as blame was assigned. The representatives from mining-focused civilizations accused the military-focused ones of incompetence. Those who had been skeptical of the invasion now demanded accountability. "Our intelligence was flawed," admitted the head of the council's Information Division, a small gray being with 8 limbs. "We assumed technological advancement followed a standard progression. The humans developed along an entirely different path." The Tau Ceti representative moved to the center of the chamber. "We have been in contact with Earth," he announced, causing gasps throughout the assembly. "They seek dialogue, not war." Korthax's tentacles whipped in anger. "Treason! You have betrayed the council." "We have saved the council from its own arrogance," replied the Proxima representative. "The human psychological resilience and adaptability exceeds anything in our database. While our species evolved in stable environments that rewarded specialization, humans evolved in a constantly changing world that selected for flexibility and innovative problem-solving. On Earth, the aliens who had surrendered were treated according to newly established protocols for extraterrestrial prisoners of war. They received appropriate food, medical care, and shelter. Many were surprised by this treatment, having expected brutal retaliation from primitives. "We judged their technology," the Proxima representative told the council, "but failed to understand their minds. Analysis of the battle yielded valuable insights. The experimental aircraft piloted by Sam Taylor had succeeded because it used principles the aliens hadn't encountered before. Earth scientists had developed alternative approaches to physics problems, creating technologies that the Council's sensors couldn't properly detect or counter. Ryan Harrison, working with alien computer systems, discovered they were vulnerable to certain types of code that the Council considered obsolete. Their advanced systems had never been designed to defend against primitive attack vectors. "It's like they built skyscrapers but forgot to lock the doors," he explained to Laura Wilson. 6 alien civilizations announced they were withdrawing from the invasion coalition. The Council's united front had crumbled. Reports of unrest reached Earth from various parts of Council space as news of the defeat spread to colonial worlds. Patricia Clark's diplomatic team made progress with the Council dissidents. "They're willing to share technology and knowledge in exchange for alliance," she reported to President Carter. More importantly, they're proposing reforms to the Council itself. The captured alien vessels yielded their secrets to Earth scientists. Lisa Dawson's team worked around the clock to understand the principles behind their faster-than-light travel. "They use a form of space folding," she explained in a briefing. "But their method is inefficient compared to what we theoretically developed. We just lacked the power source to implement it." Daniel Jackson made another discovery while interviewing prisoners. "Their society is rigid and hierarchical," he reported. "Creative thinking is discouraged. That's why they couldn't adapt during battle. They were waiting for orders that never came because we disrupted their communications." The Council called a vote on whether to launch a second, larger invasion. The result was 7 in favor, 10 against. For the first time in its history, the Council had voted against expansion. Korthax was removed from leadership. The new Council leader, a thoughtful being from a civilization known for diplomacy rather than conquest, immediately opened official channels to Earth. "We have much to learn from each other," stated the message that reached the United Nations. "The Council wishes to establish peaceful relations." President Carter's response was measured. "Earth welcomes dialogue but remains vigilant. Our terms include recognition of Earth sovereignty and guarantees against future aggression." As humanity processed these world-changing events, ordinary life continued. Children went to school, now learning about alien civilizations as fact rather than theory. Farmers planted crops under skies occasionally crossed by spacecraft. Scientists incorporated new knowledge into their work. In the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council, a new seat was being prepared. For the first time, a representative from Earth would join the galactic community. The Council's fatal confidence had given way to a new perspective. The universe had become a much more interesting place. 6 months after the failed invasion, Earth had changed in ways few could have imagined. The night sky looked different now, with occasional lights moving in strange patterns as diplomatic vessels came and went. Children pointed at stars and knew some had planets with thinking beings looking back at them. The remains of the invasion fleet had been transformed. What were once warships now served as joint scientific vessels, crewed by both humans and aliens working together to understand each other's knowledge. The largest ship, once Sub-Commander Velnir's command vessel, now orbited Earth as a diplomatic station where representatives from 20 different worlds met regularly. Elizabeth Howard, the newly appointed Secretary General of the Earth Defense Coalition, stood at the window of her office in Geneva. She watched an alien shuttle descend toward the landing pad. Today marked a historic moment, the official signing of the Galactic Cooperation Treaty. "They came to conquer us," she said to her assistant. "Now they come seeking partnership. History takes strange turns." On the reformed council, now called the Galactic Assembly, Earth held 3 seats. John Peterson led Earth's diplomatic delegation. The former language professor had a gift for finding common ground between vastly different cultures. Today, he addressed the assembly on the subject of first contact protocols. "The universe is not a hierarchy to be climbed," he told the gathered representatives, "but a mosaic where different paths of development create strength through diversity. We propose that all future contact with emerging civilizations follow these guidelines. The guidelines he presented had been developed by Linda Graham, a xenopsychologist who had spent months studying the psychology of different alien species. Her work had revealed that the Council's previous approach had not only been unethical, but inefficient. Different evolutionary paths create different types of intelligence, she explained to a working group of alien scientists. The old Council dismissed any civilization that developed differently from their expected pattern. In doing so, they lost countless opportunities for innovation. The Earth's unexpected victory had triggered waves of change throughout Council space. On previously subjugated worlds, populations began questioning the hierarchy that had been imposed upon them. The Council's fatal confidence had been exposed, and with it the false premise of their superiority. In a research facility built in the Arizona desert, Richard Cooper led a team of human and alien engineers. Together they worked on a joint technological exchange program. The facility housed equipment from a dozen worlds, each operating on different principles. The beauty of our approach, Richard explained to visiting dignitaries, is that we don't try to determine which technology is better. We look for how they can complement each other. This philosophy had already yielded results. A human-designed navigation system combined with Proximan power technology had created ships that were faster and more efficient than either civilization had developed alone. Lisa Dawson had become a celebrity among alien scientists. Her quantum theories, once dismissed by mainstream human science, had proven revolutionary when applied to Council technology. She now led the Galactic Physics Initiative, where scientists from 17 species collaborated. The Council species focused on manipulating space, she explained during a public lecture. Humans focused on manipulating matter. Neither approach is superior, but together, they create possibilities neither would have discovered alone. On distant Council worlds, the changes were sometimes met with resistance. Conservative factions argued that working with primitives degraded their civilizations. But the results spoke for themselves. Worlds that embraced cooperation with Earth saw rapid advances in medicine, technology, and quality of life. The former Council leader Korthax had been relegated to a minor administrative post on a distant mining colony. Reports suggested he still muttered about human treachery and the need for Council supremacy. Few listened. President Carter welcomed representatives from 12 worlds to the White House Rose Garden. The scene would have been unimaginable a year earlier, beings of different shapes, colors, and biology standing together as equals. Earth does not seek to replace the old Council's dominance with our own, he assured them. We seek a galaxy where each civilization can develop according to its own nature, while benefiting from peaceful exchange with others. Alan Wright, whose Montana Observatory had first detected the alien signals, now worked with a team of amateur astronomers around the world. They had been enlisted to help map nearby star systems that had been overlooked by Council surveys. They missed so much, he told his colleagues. Their survey methods only looked for certain types of technology. Entire civilizations might be out there, developing along different paths. Susan Miller's Extraterrestrial Defense Initiative had been renamed the Galactic Cooperation Initiative. While still maintaining Earth's defenses, its primary mission now focused on establishing contact with non-Council worlds. We believe there are many civilizations that have been ignored or suppressed by the old Council, she testified before the United Nations. Our mission is to find them and offer alliance. Humanity's greatest contribution to galactic society proved to be neither technological nor scientific, but philosophical. The human concept of equality between different types of intelligence challenged thousands of years of Council hierarchy. The idea spread rapidly, especially among younger generations of Council species. In the newly designed assembly chamber, a symbolic change reflected this new philosophy. The representatives no longer sat in tiers based on technological advancement. All seats were arranged in a circle, with no position given prominence over others. The Proxima representative, once a lone voice of caution in the Council, now served as the Assembly's chief science officer. The humans showed us our blind spot, she told her staff. We judged civilizations by whether they followed our technological path. We never asked what other paths might exist. Richard Cooper's team made another breakthrough. By combining human computer coding with alien quantum computing, they created systems that could communicate instantaneously across vast distances. The new network connected worlds that had previously been isolated by months of travel time. Earth established the Divergent Technology Initiative, dedicated to finding unique approaches to universal problems. Scientists who had once been considered fringe or unorthodox now led teams exploring alternative theories of physics, biology, and computation. On a warm summer evening, Lisa Dawson sat with the Proximan science officer on the roof of her laboratory. They watched the stars together, discussing the nature of intelligence and development. "Your people nearly destroyed mine," Lisa said. "And yet here we are, colleagues and friends. Perhaps that adaptability is humanity's greatest strength." The Proximan's inner organs glowed with agreement. The old council believed the path to advancement was linear and singular. Earth taught us that the universe offers many paths, each with its own wisdom. Across the galaxy, a new era had begun. The council's fatal confidence had given way to a humbler, more inclusive approach. Humanity had not only survived their first contact with alien life, they had transformed it, helping to forge a more equal and dynamic galactic community. And on countless worlds beyond council space, other civilizations continued their own unique journeys, developing in ways no one could predict. The universe, it seemed, had many more surprises in store.